up to Congress to investigate. And I'm telling him, look, I'm not asking you to investigate because, first of all, Congress is covering up. But I'm reporting it to you as I'm required to do. Well, every time I filed the actions in the beginning, the Department of Justice or the U.S. Attorney filed motions blocking me from reporting these things and requesting that they be dismissed. Well, then I would file appeal, and then I would be making written. I'd file written briefs, and also I'm there making oral arguments. And again, they admitted the seriousness of it. And then I went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court justices knew about the criminal activities and also the obstruction of justice by the federal judges over whom they had supervisory responsibility. Well, over a period of years, as I'm discovering other areas of corruption, CIA drug trafficking or October Surprise, I'm filing other actions, and they keep blocking me. So I made one last attempt before 9/11, and I filed a federal action in the federal courts in Reno, Nevada. And I named as defendants in there, and I identified the corruption, first of all, in the FAA. Now, the FAA has the primary responsibility for preventing any type of aviation disaster, and that's including hijackings. And I also reported the corruption of in the FBI-DOJ. And, of course, it was the FBI-DOJ that had advanced information on the planned terrorist attacks that Gregory Scarpa Jr. was obtaining directly from Ramzi Youssef, who was the main bomb-making agent for Al-Qaeda. And those, for 9 months, Scarpa is providing information to the FBI agents, and the FBI agents recognize the seriousness of it because, first of all, I give Scarpa a camera to take pictures of all the notes that were being passed between Ramzi Youssef and one of his other Al-Qaeda operatives there while they were in prison in New York and at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. And also, the FBI was so confident of the value of this information, they set up a fictitious mafia company in New York City. And Gregory Scarpa then told Youssef that, look, you make a local call to this mafia outfit and that they would forward the calls to his Al-Qaeda operatives. So calls were being made for quite a period of time to Al-Qaeda operatives in the New York, New Jersey area, and also to the Middle East. So all of this, I mean, everybody was convinced of the value of this testimony. But what happened then, the reason the information wasn't passed along to other government departments that could have prevented, taken actions to prevent the terrorist acts, this information wasn't passed to them because the Department of Justice high-level personnel were planning to discredit Scarpa because Scarpa was going to be testifying about the murders, the serial murders that his father and DiVicchio were doing. So since they were planning to discredit him, they couldn't now use his information and pass it along to other government offices. So as a result of that, there were about 3,500 people that were killed, a minor item. That, of course, includes 9/11, and that, of course, led to the invasion of two countries, and when that will end, who knows? So this is a major scandal, and there's never been, and it's the granddaddy of scandals and the granddaddy of catastrophic consequences. So you can see why nobody will touch it.
Well, there's a lot of corruption there, and there's a lot of players involved in this game. Obviously, I have a
let
question.
me add one other thing here.
Sure.
I mentioned that a lawsuit I filed just prior to 9/11. It was filed about a year before. Okay, 9/11 occurs. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to make one last effort. So I filed a lawsuit in the federal courts in New York City, and again, it's very detailed. And this is, I want to report the corruption, the federal crimes that I and my group, my coalition of other insiders had discovered that was related to 9/11. So when they receive that, they have to file it. I paid the filing fee. All the papers were in order. But the Chief Judge McCasey blocked it. And he refused to allow it to be filed. So I sent letters to every justice of the U.S. Supreme Court advising them of the latest obstruction of justice by a federal judge over whom they had supervisory responsibility. So after I did that, then McCasey filed my lawsuit 13 months after it was received, and within a few hours, he's dismissing it. Well, first of all, he is required to at least receive the information. So that's an obstruction of justice. And, of course, due process on any civil action, before you dismiss it, you've got to give the person notice of a hearing and allow him to present his argument why it should not be dismissed. Right. But anyhow, so here we have McCasey, and of course, you always got to protect the people that are on your side. So eventually, they made him U.S. Attorney General. And
right. Yeah. So we're talking about McCasey, the judge, who then became the U.S. Attorney General. Same guy.
Yeah. So they made him McCasey Attorney General sometime later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we are talking about the same man. Okay.
So we've got a lot of people involved here, but just the public ever realized this. It would be massive corruption in the Department of Justice, massive corruption in the federal courts, and massive corruption, obstruction of justice by members of Congress. And, of course, I was keeping media informed of these things, too, and they did a very good job of covering up. Of course, so much of the media has been on the government secret payroll of the CIA and other government departments for years, so that would partly explain that.
Now, you've written 19 books, and in those books, have you actually taken this documentation and placed them in the books as well?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have. So anyone who buys your books can look at the actual information or copies of the information that you filed with the Department of Justice and which you submitted to courts and everything else. So anyone who's listening, I want to can you please tell people how to go about getting your books?
Yeah, well, now, the easiest way, Amazon has them all. But now if they go to the website, the main website is defraudingamerica.com, no spaces. Now, that website will have a list of most of the letters that I sent to members of Congress for the last 40 years. So you can see there all of the areas of corruption. This is specific corruption now. And I identify myself as a former government agent, and also I identify myself as being the head of a coalition that includes a large number of other government agents, just like Ocha Pinty. You know, Ocha Pinty, he was so successful at arresting drug personnel, like I mentioned earlier, that Department of Justice then acted to